Adaeze sat quietly in her small house, feeling the weight of her husband's death press down on her. He had been her protector, her partner, and now he was gone. It had been over a year since his death, but she still couldn't shake the sense of loss. Yet, it wasn't just the absence of her husband that troubled her, it was what had come after. His family, who had once been supportive, now seemed distant, especially when it came to the land he had left behind. Adaeze knew the land was rightfully hers, or so she believed. Her husband had made it clear in conversations before his passing that it was for her and their children. But there were no written words to confirm that. Now, his family was questioning her right to it. Ugochukwu, her husband's older brother, was the first to come forward. "You will hand over the land," he said coldly, standing tall before her. "The family needs it. It was never yours to keep." Adaeze felt her heart race. "But my husband, your brother, left it to me. It's in his will." Ugochukwu scoffed. "The will doesn't matter here. The family decides, and you are a widow. You have no claim to this land." She felt tears prick her eyes but quickly wiped them away. She had to stay strong. She was the mother of his children, and they needed that land to survive. But she had no way of proving her claim. Feeling desperate, Adaeze sought legal advice from a lawyer in the town. The lawyer listened carefully to her story and then looked at her thoughtfully. "You have a case," he said after a pause. "But it will be difficult. The family has a lot of influence, and without solid proof, you're at a disadvantage." Adaeze left the lawyer's office feeling both a sense of hope and dread. She had no choice but to fight for what was rightfully hers. But she had to be ready for a long battle. Days turned into weeks, and Adaeze's fear grew. Ugochukwu continued to pressure her, sending relatives to intimidate her into giving up. One afternoon, Mama Nkechi, an older woman from the village who had always been kind to Adaeze's family, came to visit. "They are planning something," Mama Nkechi warned her. "Ugochukwu is not one to back down easily. You have to be careful." Adaeze felt a knot tighten in her stomach. "What can I do?" "They want everything, Mama Nkechi. You must fight for your children," the elderly woman said. "But you need to watch your back. Some of the elders are on his side." It was then that Adaeze realized she couldn't fight this battle alone. She needed more than just legal advice, she needed support from people who cared. Then, unexpectedly, Chijioke, her husband's close friend, came to her. He had been away when her husband died, but he returned with news that could change everything. "I know of a document," Chijioke said one afternoon. "Your husband left something behind. It's important, Adaeze. It could prove you are entitled to the land." Adaeze's heart raced. "Where is it? Why didn't you tell me before?" Chijioke looked uncomfortable. "I had to be sure, Adaeze. I had to wait for the right time." The two of them searched through her husband's belongings. After hours of sifting through old papers and boxes, they found a faded document locked away in a chest. It was a legal agreement that her husband had signed, confirming that the land would go to Adaeze after his death. Holding the document in her hands, Adaeze felt a surge of hope. This was it, a proof that the land was hers. But even as she clutched the paper, a sense of unease crept in. Could this document be enough to win against Ugochukwu's claims? With the document in hand, Adaeze returned to the lawyer. He examined it carefully before nodding. "This could be the proof you need. But the family will still fight. They won't let this go easily." The courtroom battle. The case finally came to court. Adaeze sat anxiously at the plaintiff's table, her lawyer standing tall beside her. Ugochukwu, seated with his legal team, maintained a smug expression, exuding confidence. The lawyer for the plaintiff, Adaeze, announced her appearance, invited Adaeze to the witness box. Adaeze testified. After Adaeze's testimony, her lawyer addressed the court saying, "My lord, this case revolves around the rightful ownership of the disputed land. The plaintiff, Adaeze, is the widow of the deceased, who, during his lifetime, executed a valid legal document confirming his intention to bequeath this land to her. This document is binding and overrides any contrary claims under custom." She walked over to the judge, presenting the signed document. "This is Exhibit A, my lord. It bears the signature of the deceased and witnesses, meeting all legal requirements." Ugochukwu's lawyer rose with confidence and objected to the admission of this document, but the court in its discretion admitted the document in evidence as Exhibit A. After the testimony of Adaeze, it is now the turn of Ugochukwu on behalf of the family to testify. He stood on the witness box and gave his evidence. Through him, his lawyer presents Exhibit B, a letter allegedly written by the deceased, stating that the land was meant for the family. Adaeze's lawyer smirked slightly, stepping forward. "My lord, we have examined this so-called letter, and I will prove that it is a forgery. Our handwriting expert has confirmed that the signature does not match that of the deceased." Mr. Ugochukwu also testified that by the custom of his people, the wife of a man can never inherit the properties of her husband. The handwriting expert was in court and was called upon by Adaeze's lawyer with leave of the court to discredit the so-called letter purported to be written by Adaeze's late husband. The court adjourned briefly as evidence was scrutinized. When proceedings resumed, Adaeze's lawyer presented a compelling closing argument. "My lord, the defendant's reliance on customary practices to dispossess a widow is not only unjust but also unconstitutional under Section 42 of the Nigerian Constitution. The custom cited cannot override a valid legal agreement. Justice demands that this court uphold the law and protect the rights of the plaintiff." The defense lawyer attempted a rebuttal but faltered under the weight of the evidence. The judgment. On the final day in court, the judge delivered his judgment. The courtroom was silent as he spoke. This court has thoroughly examined the evidence presented by both parties. The central issue here is the rightful ownership of the land in question. The original document provided by the plaintiff, Adaeze, is a valid legal document signed by the deceased. It clearly states that the land is to be passed to his wife, Adaeze, upon his death. This document is authentic and binding under the law. Adaeze felt her breath catch as the judge continued. The purported letter introduced by the defendant has been found to be unauthentic and cannot override the original agreement. This court also recognizes that custom cited by the defendant cannot supersede a legally binding document. The judge looked directly at Ugochukwu. "The evidence is clear. The original document is valid, and it overrides the customs that the defendant is trying to rely on. Therefore, the court declared that the land rightfully belongs to Adaeze." Tears streamed down Adaeze's face as her lawyer congratulated her. Across the room, Ugochukwu's smirk disappeared, replaced by anger and disbelief. Outside the courthouse, Adaeze felt a renewed sense of strength. She had fought for her rights and won. Her lawyer's dedication and the truth had prevailed, sending a message to women everywhere: justice is achievable when you stand firm. This victory was not just hers, it was a beacon of hope for other widows and women facing similar battles. Lessons to learn. 1. Know your rights. Adaeze's situation began with uncertainty, but she soon discovered the importance of understanding her legal rights. As a widow, she had the right to her husband's property if it was clearly documented, as in her case, or if her marriage is a statutory one. 2. The power of documentation. Adaeze's breakthrough came when she discovered her husband's signed document, confirming her right to the land. This proves that clear, legal documentation such as will, can make all the difference in securing one's future. Always ensure important agreements, particularly regarding property or inheritance, are formally documented and kept in a safe place. 3. Seek legal support early. Adaeze's case also highlights the importance of timely legal intervention. Consulting a lawyer and gathering evidence early can strengthen a widow's position, preventing delays and complications in securing justice. 4. Seek support. Adaeze didn't fight alone. She reached out to her husband's friend, Chijioke, and a lawyer who guided her through the legal maze. It's vital to seek advice from trusted sources and get legal help when facing serious challenges, whether in marriage, property disputes, or inheritance. If you found this story helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Legal Guide TV for more insightful content on your rights and legal matters. We also encourage you to leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Stay informed and empowered with us.